Hello, this is Coach Lydia Knight, and we are ending eating disorders and freeing women from every cage. And freedom is being able to have non-food aches, non-food feeling sick, non-food pain. Let's talk about that. So when we are hurting ourselves with food, when we are causing a huge inflammatory response in our bodies because of the inflammatory foods that we're eating, when we're putting huge strain on our immune and our digestive systems, when we're destroying our metabolisms with the cycle of binge restrict, which is so hard on your body. The yo-yo dieting, the gaining and losing weight is like, think of the list of what the diet industry says are the dangers of obesity, and take that whole list and see the actual studies that show that yo-yo dieting actually causes all of those things. Like, go down a rabbit hole if you want. But the point is that there are so many aches and pains and sicknesses and nauseous and belly aches and hurts from the inflammation that we are experiencing in our bodies because we're hurting ourselves with food. And being on the side of freedom, which is so fantastic, is that if you feel an ache or a pain or a tummy ache, you know with 100% certainty that it wasn't because of your binging or your restricting or you're hurting yourself, because you're not hurting yourself anymore. And so you get to know, like, oh, I didn't do this to myself, so I get to actually take care of what the thing is. So one example is we have one of our grads who was saying, she's like, oh, I was just having some, aches and pains in my legs. And she realized in her freedom, she's like, before I would have gone right to, well, of course, because I binged last night, or like, oh, because I'm, having symptoms coming up because I'm destroying my health because of my eating disorder. And now that she's completely free and she doesn't have an eating disorder anymore, she got to feel those aches and pains and be like, oh, what can I do to give myself some relief and care? Because I know that it's not something I did to myself. Another one of our grads, Kelly, like, you might have seen her freedom story as well. So with Kelly, she had a medication that her doctor had given her that caused, so let's put it this way. When we are in this cycle and when we are gaining this weight, right? We know why it is. It's because we're binging. It's because we're hurting ourselves. It's because we're doing something that is injuring us. But when you're not doing that anymore and you have, let's say, unexpected weight gain, you get to actually check it out and see what's going on versus like, oh, well, I know what happened. I'm doing this to myself. So Kelly, she had binge-free, total freedom. And then she's like, oh, that's weird. I've gained weight. Why is that? And in the past, she would have been like, well, of course I gained weight because I'm hurting myself with food. But she knew she wasn't hurting herself. So she found out her doctor gave her this medication that caused rapid weight gain, and they just didn't tell her that. So she got to find out, like, okay, and then correct that, and then get her health in order and all of that. But we can actually advocate for ourselves. We can know how to nurture ourselves. We can listen to our bodies when we're like, oh, I know that it's not me hurting myself, so I know that there's something else going on, and then we can check out that thing. Think of how many of us, if we have some sort of symptom, an ache and pain and feeling sick, actually would miss getting the medical attention that we needed, or helping nurture ourselves, or getting more rest, or whatever it is, because we're lumping it all in with, well, I'm feeling so bad because of the way that I'm eating. Then we're ignoring the things that could actually be associated with something else, but we just blame it all on ourselves. So it's so beautiful to have that separation. What joy. So freedom is being able to just have aches and pains that aren't associated with us hurting ourselves, because we're not hurting ourselves anymore. So for your next step to freedom, go to lifewithlydia.com.